See all of you guys. Great for being here. Sorry I missed y'all last week. I actually was at a Full Focus conference last week, and Full Focus is all about the planner. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today. And so sorry I wasn't able to be here live, but hope you got a lot out of that video. And I know that you did because people asked for copies of it. So there's always that. But if you're joining us today, you are change agents working on making things healthier for people around you at work and in the community. I want to start off by saying thank you to Jeff and Holly for always catching replays if they can't make it live each week. And then I also want to say that if you enjoy what you're hearing and you enjoy what you're learning with us, invite your friends. I want to say a big thank you to Jason for always inviting his friends to join our group. We'd love to have more friends join us. We're going to be doing a lot of cool new things throughout the rest of this month and into January, and we don't want you to miss it. So if you know more people that are excited, have them join us. You can invite them and you can talk to me. If you want to tell me who they are, send me a note and I will make sure they get the invitation and they can come and join us. I would love to have them here. This month, we're talking about a ton of topics I don't normally talk about, but being at the end of the year, we're going to be talking a lot about how to set goals, which was actually the entire topic of my training last week where I was gone to Nashville for. And so I have more information, not necessarily new information because I've already worked in the space, but from me working on it at a business level was new and exciting for me. And so we're going to share some more information today. But we're going to talk today. Today's part number 2 about my favorite time management tool, which is the Full Focus Planner. And I can see Nancy's here in the back with us in Zoom. She just got her planner, and I cannot wait to hear during Q&A time what she thinks of her new planner and where she's going to get started, because you have to take off a small bite at a time because it's a huge system and you just need to get started. So if you're a Full Focus Planner person and you want to know more, let me know and we'd be happy to dive in. So today, we're going to talk about what we call the big 3. And there's a big 3 at the quarter level, at the weekly level, and at the daily level. So we're going to talk about the big 3. So if you're with me live, put in the chat, big 3. If you're on replay, type #replay, big 3. Just let me know you were here and that you were interested in this topic, because we're going to talk about this another couple of weeks, because we're going to talk about how to set up goals that actually work when we get into the new year. I see Nancy says big 3. Who else is here with us today that wants to talk to me about big 3? I'd love to hear from you, because I know big 3 is a big deal. And if you can figure out big 3, you can make stuff happen. And so I'm excited that you're here. Give me 1 second. I've got a technical difficulty. I know that's not a surprise to any of you that have followed me very long. I always have technical difficulties, but here we are. So hopefully we're live everywhere because we're supposed to be. So hopefully it's working. You never know. So today we're going to talk about one idea about big 3. And I'm going to answer a couple of questions I got after last week's training, and they're kind of tied into the topic today. So let's start with an example. A while back, I had a habit goal where I was going to use my daily big 3 and my weekly big 3 to track it. I decided I wanted to set up what's called a micro habit. And the micro habit is based on the work by James Clear. There's a book called Atomic Habits. And we're going to make sure that the link is in the notes today. If you don't have this book, it's awesome, because this book really talks about like, how do we think and how do we set up habits? And what becomes easy is what gets done. So how do you set up something in the easiest way to make sure that you get it accomplished? And then he also talks about the next part about habit stacking, meaning once you get something in place, how can you add another layer to it to continue to make improvements and change? Highly recommend this book. So in that book, one of the habits I wanted to start was drinking water, 16 ounces of water every morning as a first thing. And so I was going to track that for 6 weeks to see if I could make a goal and a habit out of it, so that before I do everything else in the day, I get down water, because I knew for sure I was not drinking enough water and often had headaches and just different things. And so then my goal was to do that for 6 weeks, which is half a quarter. And then the second half of the quarter was to stack on another habit so that I could finish the whole 12 weeks of a quarter with new healthy habits for myself. Now, one of the things, if you've paid any attention to research and habits, you can really only do 1 or 2 at a time. You cannot do everything. So sometimes the reason people fail, we talked about this last time in the video, about people fail making New Year's resolutions because you want to change the whole world. I'm here to tell you, you did not get in the mess you're in overnight. It's going to take a minute or two to dig back out of it, but you can get out of everything with small habits, small changes, compounded over time, make big changes. And that's what they're talking about here with micro habits. And so I started out this goal about drinking more water. After that became automatic, then I would add something before or after that at the same time of day to be the next thing that I was going to grow and improve in. And so making sure I had the next level habit. And so that's what we're talking about today is how do you form those habits? And so Sherry's here with us in the chat. Hi, how to see you, Sherry. Also, Holly's here. Thanks for joining us. And so today we're going to talk about like, how do you do that? So my goal, as I said, was to drink 16 ounces of water every morning to track for 6 weeks in a row. And then I could move on to something different. So how do you set a goal like that you actually achieve? A lot of people, like I said, make these New Year's resolutions and they go nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And I looked it up and the average person drops out of their goal by around February the 4th. So if you're that person, I'm super sorry to tell you, you're not making a lot of progress. And so by March, you don't even remember what the goals were you set in the first place. That's not what we're talking about here. So the first thing that we learn in the full focus system, and we're not going to go into detail today, it's going to be in one of the upcoming trainings, but generally speaking, we create smarter goals. And I'm just going to tell you SMARTER is an acronym, and I'm going to tell you what the SMARTER stands for. And the concept is that if you create your goal in this way, that goal conceived in a SMARTER framework is almost halfway achieved. Because by the time you think through all the details I'm going to share right now, you are set up to be successful. And we're going to go into a great deal about this in the future. So if you care about SMARTER goals, let me know. We're going to tell you all about it. Would love to share. So SMARTER goal, you have to be specific and measurable, and there has to be actionable steps. Risky in that you actually have to change, right? It shouldn't be in your comfort zone. And then time keyed is the T. Time keyed meaning it needs to have a start date, an end date, or a time of day it's going to happen. It needs to be exciting and relevant. And relevance really important because relevant is that part that brings it down to earth. Is your life really set up so that you can be successful in this? That is the SMARTER framework. And like I said, we're going to dive into that more next week. So if you care about how to set up a specific goal, come back and join us because we're going to do that the rest of this month so that you can have good goals set up for you at the beginning of the next quarter, because it's almost 2023, people, which means you should have new annual goals and new quarterly goals, new exciting things to work on. And I'm here to help with that if you are excited about getting things squared away. So today we're going to talk about those big threes. That was what it was in the chat. If you're listening live, please put big three in the chat if you have not. Love to know you're here. But the first big three is the weekly big three. Now, how the weekly big three works is it is what you're going to get done this week to move toward a goal. Now, one of the big things in the full focus system is the difference between a goal and a project. A goal needs to be something you haven't really done before. And I think we talked about this last week in the video. So you're thinking about what's above and beyond something that you've done. It's not a report you've written all the time. It's not something that you've done on and on. It's not that. A goal is in that SMARTER framework. It has to be exciting. It has to have some risk in it. It has to be something that you're excited about getting done. So you have that big global goal, and whether that's toward your business or toward something in your personal life, we'll give you some examples coming up, and you want to break it down. So each week you think about what are 3 things that if I get those 3 things done, it will help me move toward that goal. And they could be anything. And this is where you kind of get into the tasks, if you will, of how do you move forward. So big 3 things, and big 3 things are important. So say you have a goal to go out with your friends once a month, every month for a year, and it's a socialization goal. And you want to spend more time with friends. Maybe you've been overlooking your friends. It's going to work with your family as well. You want to take out each child on a one-on-one date between now and the end of the year or whatever. So your weekly big 3 might be to set up that time and that location and that place to go out in January. So you're going to get ready to hit that goal. Another example could be if you have a goal to launch your new membership course in March of 31 of 2023. So by the end of the first quarter, you're going to launch something. Well, you have to have weekly goals that go towards completing that goal. So setting up your sales funnel or adding X number of people into your mailing list or whatever. So you choose steps, that's kind of those tasks that move you toward your bigger goal. Now, the next piece is the daily big three. The daily big three is how you break down that weekly into something smaller. So say we were just talking about you're going to do something with your kid or your friends once a month or something. Maybe one day it is you're going to call the place to find out about reservations and set that up. Another day you're going to make sure you connect with the calendar of the person to make sure they're available or whatever. So there might be smaller pieces that need to be done each day to move toward the objective of the week, which is to get something on the calendar for January, which ties into your goal that you're going to do for the next year. Every month, you're going to go out with your friends or take out so many kids on one-on-one dates a month. So see how they all build on each other? So daily big three is where the progress is made. So at the end of the night, of the day, you need to think about what are the big three things I need to do tomorrow and put them on the calendar. If you don't, what do you think happens? The day fills up with whatever comes your way. Whatever emergencies of everybody around you will fill up your time. And instead of getting something moving forward on your schedule, your agenda, you could just be 100% doing everybody else's stuff and get nothing done that you needed accomplished. And that's a problem. So you start thinking about the night before, okay, what do I need tomorrow? And if you can't think of them yet, then wake up the next morning. And what are those big three? And those big three things, again, tie to the goal that you have for your week, which ties to the bigger goal of what you need for the quarter. And so it's not a to-do list. You'll still have other things done, and there's plenty of space in the planner for the to-do list. And there might be repetitive things on that to-do list, like invoicing, filing, returning calls, whatever, things that you just need to check off as you get done. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not really a daily big three. The daily big three needs to move you forward in the bigger things. And that to-do list is not very exciting oftentimes, right? It's just the stuff you have to get done around the house. And sometimes the list is long. And if you're going to combine business and personal, like the full focus system, that list can be really long. And that's fine. But it's like, what are the biggest three things that are actually going to move you forward on whatever you're working on? So if your goal really is to do that thing for setting aside time with important people in your life, what are 2 or 3 things you could do this week and put them on a different day of the calendar to get it done so that you've got something scheduled for January for moving toward that goal? So maybe you have a daily big three that you could have something to do with a work proposal that needs to go out, and you're creating new content. So again, a goal is something you haven't really done before. So maybe it's something that you're doing new to pitch some new business, something like that. Well, that might take a whole week. It might take 2 weeks. And so you may have weekly goals that take time. But each day, maybe you have an hour that you can do some background research on something. Or another day, maybe you need to work on the data for some graphs that need to go into your proposal. Or the other day, you need to look at, whatever conversations you have to have so you have the information to put in the proposal or whatever. So you break it down into small chunks is the general idea. Now, the third piece we're going to talk about today is what we call a weekly preview. Now, what the weekly preview does is each week you go and review how you did the week before. So that weekly big three, you take the opportunity to look at those 3 things. Did you do them? And you get a percentage rating on that. Did you do it 100%? Did you get it done? Did you not get it done? And then you kind of do this piece of looking at it like, how did it work? And this is the secret sauce to the full focus system, in my opinion. Because you celebrate what went well is the very first part of that preview. You look backwards and go, I accomplished all this stuff this past week. So you start off all of a sudden top of mind. And that's really good because accomplished achievement people oftentimes don't even think about celebrating because we've got this goal that we want to attain that's so far away that we don't even think about whether or not we did anything great last week because we think we have so much more to do, right? And so this gives you the opportunity to stop and think about whether or not what you got done last week and if it was important to you and the things that you should celebrate. And then it gives you the next part of the opportunity is to measure those goals, if you made progress or not. and how far you came. Like, did you make it 50%, 75%, 100%? What did you do? And then next is an after action review. And it's really simple. What are you going to keep? What are you going to improve? What are you going to start? What are you going to stop? The KISS principle. Keep, improve, start, and stop. So you just walk through the week. What worked? What didn't? What are you going to keep doing next time? What are you going to improve upon that you have a system or something that worked okay, but not great? What are you going to start? Are you starting a new piece of software? Are you going to stop doing something? It just really gets you focused on what things you need to focus on. And it really gets your head straight for what are we doing next week? So then you start and create that next weekly big three. At the end of that weekly preview, you now have this next set of big three for next week. So you can see where you've been, how did it go, what needs to improve, and what are we going to do next week? And that just keeps you moving week after week after week so that you can make progress on your goals. So if this was interesting to you, we have more resources we're going to drop into the chat today for you. Besides the Atomic Habits, we're going to be also talking about goal setting. If you want to start thinking about 2023 and setting some goals, we're going to give you some tips there. You're going to learn a little more about the planner if you're interested in knowing more about that, and about the full focus system, kind of how it works. So if you were here again today, drop big three in the chat, or if you're on replay, drop big three. We're so glad you are here. And if you need any resources or want them sent to you or want a copy of this video, place that in the chat as well, and we'll be sure to reach out. So next week, we're going to do a deeper dive into how to set those annual goals and how to do that smarter framework. We're going to talk through it. So if something smarter sounded good to you, come back next week and we'll be here to do it again. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so glad you're here. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you soon. Bye. In the back, who's here for Q&A? Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
In the back, who's here for Q&A? Uh-oh. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
In the back, who's here for Q&A?
Sorry, Cherry's here too.
I'm on a loop.
I'm chuckling at those tech difficulties.
Well, that's fun. I was
had
like,
them
how did I
yesterday.
loop? I'm like, I really did turn that off.
It could have been mine. Okay,
It's
so
okay.
I was on Facebook on my phone,
Oh, okay.
and then I joined on my iPad, the back behind the scenes, and
That's
then
okay.
the Facebook was still going when,
Ah,
and
That
I
was
did not
fun.
know I was unmuted either. It's, on a different device, I don't know where the mute button is. I thought I came in muted, but it was unmuted.
of course you did.
Anyways.
It's totally cool.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Because I was like, wait, am I still recording?
Right.
The
Yeah.
answer to
And then
that is
you
no.
couldn't see me, and then
No.
you heard
So
my
I'm like-
phone doing the
Like,
Facebook.
okay, I think I turned it off.
So sorry about that.
Anyway. Hello, ladies. Welcome. Nancy, tell me about this full focus planner in the mail. How's it going? Nancy, tell me about this full focus planner in the mail. How's it going? We still have a echo. That's okay.
Uh-oh.
You're still on Facebook, I think.
No, it is off. Facebook's off.
Oh no.